Hi there, Medical Wildcats. I'm Joseph Guggenheim. I'm a 1972 alum of the medical school, and today's topic is Chicago's Lost Hospitals. This is part two of my two-part series, which I began last month. Last month, I called these the dinosaur hospitals, not because this is where Barney goes when he's not feeling well, but because these hospitals in some way have resembled dinosaurs. Well, what is a dinosaur? It's a very large animal that previously dominated ecosystems and is now extinct. Some of the descendants of the dinosaurs became birds or lizards, and they continue to thrive in the current environment. And some of the hospitals are like this. Michael Reese Hospital, for example, was one of the largest hospitals in the country, and it has since then been demolished. Other hospitals, like Mount Sinai, no longer serve the population for whom they were built. This is a book that was published in 1922, and it listed 97 hospitals in the Chicago area. Many were built by religious groups and nationalities. After the Civil War, there were special hospitals for women, children, and African American patients. According to the Encyclopedia of Chicago, there were 84 hospitals in 1950. This does not mean that 28 hospitals 13 hospitals disappeared from the Chicago scene in that 28-year period. There was rapid turnover, with many hospitals appearing and disappearing. Some of these hospitals in this 28-year period were built for nationality groups. Grant Hospital was previously German Hospital. The name was changed during World War I due to the anti-German sentiment. The Alexian Brothers Hospital was originally established in Europe centuries ago by an all-male nursing order to treat male plague patients. In Chicago, it is a hospital for both male and female patients. St. Mary of Nazareth Hospital was established to treat the Polish patients, and Lutheran Deaconess was established to treat patients from Norway. Mary Thompson Hospital was established to treat widows and children of Civil War veterans. In the 21st century, 14 hospitals have closed during the first 2 decades, and this is a list of them on the right. This is 23% of the Chicago area hospitals, about 1 in 4. Some of these were very large hospitals, such as Mercy at the bottom of the list and Michael Reese in the middle. So let's look at Mercy Hospital, a very large hospital which has changed radically since it was first built. It was the first chartered hospital in Chicago, the first private hospital in Chicago. It began as Illinois General Hospital of the Lakes in 1850. It was originally 12 beds, which were leased out at the Lake House Hotel on Rush and Water Street, leased to subscribers, including Dr. John Evans. Dr. Evans was on the faculty at Rush, and it is for him that Evanston is named. Nursing care at this hospital was done by Rush students. The following year, 1851, nursing care was taken over by the Sisters of Mercy, and the bed count was increased to 24. Dr. Hosmer Johnson was the first intern. The reason I put his birth date here was so that you could see he was 29 when he was an intern. He was one of the founders of what became Northwestern Medical School, and he was on the first faculty in 1859 at age 37. The name of the hospital was changed to Mercy Hospital in 1851. The lease expired in 1853, so the nurses leased 2 brick houses at Wabash and Van Buren Street for a couple of months until the new facility was ready. They moved to the new facility in August 1853, and the facility was renamed Mercy Hospital and Orphan Asylum. Dr. Nathan Smith Davis, on the Rush faculty, had previously been offered a staff appointment, but he declined unless he could provide some bedside teaching. He was one of the founders of our medical school. The new Lent University faculty contracted with the Mercy Hospital to furnish free medical and surgical attendance for the privilege of holding clinics. Lent University was the predecessor of our medical school. It was housed in the Lent block, this building at Randolph and what is now Wacker Drive. Luckily and amazingly, this building escaped the Chicago fire. Their medical school began as the medical department of Lent University. Lent University eventually became Lake Forest University. Mercy was the first Catholic hospital to affiliate with a medical school. The hospital grew rapidly. It moved to the St. Agatha's Academy building at Calumet and what is now 26th Street in 1863, and the bed count increased to 100. Critics said this was a waste of land because the hospital would never fill this space. They had 2.5 acres. It became too small very rapidly. It was obvious that a larger facility was needed because interns were sleeping in the pharmacy. In 1869, 3 new wings were constructed on this site, and the hospital was then considered the finest hospital west of New York City. Again, it became cramped. There was not enough space. Elevators and laboratories were needed. The much touted amphitheater for the Chicago Medical College students became inadequate. This hospital escaped fire damage in 1871 because it was farther south than the fire. In 1892, the entire hospital was refurbished. X-ray rooms were built, and they were called shadowgrams. A new wing was added with space for 90 more beds. In 1896, the old Chicago Medical College building at Prairie and 26th Street was demolished and was replaced with additions to Mercy Hospital. Additional buildings were built in 1908 and 1915. President Teddy Roosevelt stayed at Mercy after an assassination attempt in 1912 when he was campaigning in Milwaukee, and you can see his room at the red arrow. Mercy Hospital was affiliated with Northwestern, and then the affiliation was changed to Loyola in 1919. There was a new facility that opened bounded by South Michigan Avenue and Martin Luther King Drive, 25th Street and 26th Street. The planning for this expansion had been on the drawing boards ever since the 1950s. Some innovative procedures were performed during Mercy's history. Now, the first successful separation of 2 twins conjoined at the head was performed in 1955. The first carotid artery stent operation in Chicago was performed in 2004. The original building was demolished in 1968 to make room for a new building. But things were not rosy at this hospital financially. Trinity Health assumed ownership of the hospital in 2012. The hospital was losing money. It was a safety net hospital and was losing $7 million a month. And following the demise of a planned merger, the hospital announced plans to close in 2021. But a nonprofit group, Insight Chicago, took over as the new owner, and they reached an agreement with Chicago to operate it as a full-service hospital until at least 2029. This is the current facility. It has been renamed Insight Hospital and Medical Center and currently has 91 beds. Let's look at Provident Hospital. Provident had many firsts. It was the first hospital in the U.S. owned and operated by Black physicians, the first non-segregated hospital, the first private hospital in the U.S. to offer internships to Black physicians, the first Black hospital to be approved by the American College of Surgeons for providing postgraduate courses and residencies for Black physicians, first Black hospital to be approved by the American College of Surgeons for full graduate training in surgery, and the first hospital in Chicago to establish a nursing school for Black women. It was established in 1891 by Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, who achieved national prominence by doing the first open heart surgery in the country. He repaired the bullet wound of a pericardium in a patient. The patient left the hospital and lived for many years following this surgery. He gained national attention for this procedure in 1893. The original Provident Hospital was opened in 1891. It was the 3-story building shown at the right. It consisted of 12 beds at 29th and Dearborn Streets. The funding was aided by abolitionist Frederick Douglass and the Armour Meatpacking Company. The hospital moved to a larger facility approximately 10 years later, at 36th and Dearborn Street. And the new facility had a capacity of 65 beds. It was loosely affiliated with Northwestern until 1930, and then the affiliation was changed to the University of Chicago. Emma Ann Reynolds established the first nursing school for Black women in Chicago at Provident in 1892. She had previously applied for admission to many nursing schools around the country and was rejected by all of them because of her race. She established a nursing school at Provident. She later attended Northwestern University Women's Medical School, graduating in 1896 with an MD degree. A new facility was used beginning in 1933. It was the previous building was the Chicago Lying-In Hospital, and the building was refurbished for Provident Hospital in approximately 1933. Provident also had its financial problems. It was scheduled to close in the 1970s, but a loan from the government enabled construction of a new facility completed in 1981, as shown on the right. The hospital fell into financial arrears and had to shut down in 1987. Cook County bought the facility to establish a satellite acute care facility and invested $58 million in upgrades. The hospital was reopened in 1993 as a public community teaching hospital under the auspices of the Cook County government. It currently operates 25 beds. It was the birthplace of First Lady Michelle Obama. Well, let's get together again in October for Alumni Weekend, October 13th and 14th. Hope to see you there. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay connected with each other, and I look forward to seeing you in Chicago in October.